Well, hey, this is our, gosh, I don't know, sixth, seventh edition now of Hustle and Heart. And today I have with us someone who's been in the business for, gosh, Kennedy, is it 3 years, 4 years now? 3, 4 years?
4 years, but 3 years full time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So 3 years full time, has seen some pretty incredible success over those 3 years. Her dad has actually been with the organization for, oh my gosh, 30 years. I mean, we're pushing up there.
1994.
94. Mark Weinberg was with the organization, but I'm so glad he was, obviously, because he's building the next generation moving into real estate. And Kennedy has just been a shining light since she's got here. So super excited to introduce Kennedy Weinberg out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Kennedy, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Kennedy, these are pretty easy conversations to have. The whole goal behind this is just to allow the network to get to know you and who you are, and a little bit about real estate at the same time. But really, some background on you, Kennedy. First and foremost, tell everyone, who are you outside of real estate, and how does that person actually show up for their clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, kind of backtracking, I've grew up in real estate, but believe it or not, it wasn't my first choice when I was younger. I wanted to build my
Sure.
own name, start something, branch out. So I actually got my master's in forensic psychology. So I thought I was going to actually work for my brother-in-law, who is a divorce attorney out here, has his own law firm. Um, did some clinical work and realized, okay, I'm a little too empathetic to be on that side of things. How can I help people? But maybe in a more positive light, not taking work home with me. I mean, as we all know, everyone takes real estate home with you, but it's quite different. So,
Yeah.
um, I think why I loved the idea of real estate again was I wanted to be able to help, because that's who I am outside of real estate. I am just an empath, so being able to help was ideal for me, and how I could do that in a positive way. And real estate really stuck. And the second I got my license, it was like this epiphany that this was for me.
Hmm. That's cool. That's cool. And I'm sure the social aspect plays a little bit in there too, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Las Vegas Henderson native.
Hmm.
So I grew up doing club soccer, being in Hebrew school, day school, my normal schooling, and then I actually went to college, undergrad in Arizona and grad school in Arizona as well. So I actually got to build my network not only in Nevada but Arizona and California.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And let me go back for a second. You got a master's in, did you say clinical, or was it clinical psychology?
Forensic,
Forensic.
forensic psychology.
Forensic psychology. That's pretty dang cool. I've got a daughter who is like a research nerd. I mean, she is just an analyst to the core. I'll say something, she'll be Googling it immediately to make sure it's correct, and I'm like, and we were just talking about that like a couple weeks ago. It's like, Tawny, you should look into forensics or FBI or something
hmm
along those lines. So I may have her call you, Kennedy, as she's getting a little bit older
Yeah.
and trying to find her way. But that's really really cool. I imagine that really plays, understanding psychology really plays well in sales, as and because we're all
It's
trying to have that. It is. We're trying to have that effective communication with our clients, and but that's just a real feather in your cap to have that behind you. So, well, I mean, you answered it a little bit, being a Las Vegas native, but what made you choose real estate, and more importantly, why are you still choosing it today?
so good question. As we know, my dad's been a realtor with the company since 94. But
Mhm.
my mom is also actually growing up, she was a loan officer. So
Mhm.
I grew up in a household of workhorses. I mean, I was used to being quiet because they were on the phone. They attended all of my events, but needless to say, they were on the phone half of the events, but it was business, right? So I grew up understanding what it takes to get to where you want. But backtracking even farther than that, my grandparents on my mom's side owned a brokerage in California. So long time ago, they had their own brokerage in California. They actually also had a construction company. So, I mean, anything and everything was just centered around real estate development, everything. So it was kind of inevitable for me to at some point kind of fall into this. So just growing up around it, it felt really natural once I got my license and got my foot in the
Sure.
door. It was so natural. I mean, the psychology aspect, I feel, has probably been my largest asset. I think that what makes a good agent is understanding the client, and no single transaction is the same, and no client is the same. So, what their needs are is going to vary, and just understanding the person itself is how you really get from point A to point Z the most seamlessly.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like you were literally in real estate quicksand. I mean, there was no way you were getting out of this.
No.
Not with everything you were being indoctrinated in from the early years at your events to today. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that you finally gave up the fight and let the quicksand take over and pull you
Yeah.
in, because you're a great asset to the organization for sure.
Thank you.
Uh, Kennedy, what do you do consistently that you find most agents they either avoid or they may make excuses around doing?
I think the simple way to put this is I consistently do the work that not everyone wants to do, whether that's prospecting, whether that's having the 30-minute phone call with the client because they're frustrated about something. Taking the time, and especially when you've got a lot of things going on in several transactions, the time adds up. But if you're not willing to do the work, you're it's hard to understand and get that success, right? So for me, I think the simple way to put it is I will always put in the work. I'll lose sleep if a client is not happy. I'll lose sleep if the house isn't selling and I know they're in a rush. I'm always thinking outside the box. So when it comes to each transaction, each seller, each buyer, but let's talk about sellers for instance, I'm always thinking creatively, what can we do today to help get more traction at the property that's different from the competition we have in the community. So I think the thing with real estate is you kind of have to make it your world a little bit. And that is also comes with people around you understanding that and being supportive of that, because in order to do a really good job, you have to take the time. And I think that's where a lot of agents aren't willing to do is take the time. I mean,
Yeah,
with it when it comes to a lot of my properties, every property of mine is getting beautiful brochures and flyers. I don't care if it's 200,000 or 2 million. They are getting treatment very similar. And when it comes to showing a property, with a lot of my clients, if I know this property needs the listing agent there to be able to wow the buyer and buyer's agent and talk about, let's say it's an $800,000 home that just has a $150,000 worth of upgrades. I'm there and I'm discussing each of those upgrades so that they know why this property stands out against the others.
nice.
And in a market where there's sorry to add when there's in the market where there's a lot of listings and higher inventory, especially in certain communities, it takes that extra effort to get it sold. So I've actually been able to accomplish record breaking days on market in certain communities, even in a higher inventory market, because of what I'm willing to do, and that's show the property, go the extra mile, have the brochures, build rapport with not only the buyer's agent but also the buyer all together at that property.
So well said. There was three key things two key things that you mentioned there. One is do the work. That's kind of the golden rule. And to your point, Kennedy, it's hard. It's not easy work to do. And hey, if I could avoid doing the work, I would avoid doing the work. But you can't. That's not the business that we're in. And if you want to be successful in this industry, you need to be consistent. And that's something
Yeah.
that not only have I seen you do, I can see it in your numbers. I've witnessed you do it just by walking by your office. I've heard it from your managers, how hard you work and what you're putting in. And you don't treat it like a 9 to 4, 9 to 5 job at all. You treat this as a career that you want to build and be wildly successful. And you've got a deep desire to succeed and to surpass those around you. And then the
Hmm.
second piece you got it into is the creativity aspect. It's we do have higher days on market in the Las Vegas area, in the greater Arizona area. California is coming up at nothing like the 5.5 to 6 months of inventory we have here in Las Vegas and in Arizona. California, I think the last stat I saw was maybe 4 to 5 weeks of inventory in our
Yeah.
markets. typically. So with that said, we do have to be a lot more creative. We do have to find new ways and creative ways to communicate that with our clients so they understand everything that you're doing and how your thought process is going about being creative to market their home in a different way, to make sure you're always reminding them that they made the right decision in choosing you to be their professional, to either represent them on the buy side or the list side, whichever side you're working on. But
Yeah.
the big things that I take away from that, and again, you're definitely walking the talk. I see it. I see it
Thanks.
when I see you working, when I see what you're doing. When we do have conversations, you're asking great questions about, hey, this is going on. What do you think about this? And I love it. So I appreciate you doing that. And you just set a great example because you're in the office quite a bit too, which is awesome. So
Thank you.
love
Yeah, and I
you.
like to add that it makes it easy to do what we do when we're with a good company. And this is a great company and we have the support within the company and you've been absolutely amazing. So it makes it
Thank you.
easy to want to do well and continue to do well when we have a great backing behind us. And I think that everyone should take a moment to appreciate that because it is valuable.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That was unsolicited, by the way, but thank you for saying
Unpaid,
that.
I promise.
Yes, yes. Um, well, hey, looking back, what was a turning point that changed how you operate your business? And again, I know that 3 to 4 years, you're fairly new, but you operate like a veteran. I mean, you got numbers like a veteran in this industry. And was there a time that you did experience something in that 3 to 4 years? You're like, okay, I need to start doing this, and then you did that, and you're like, wow, okay, life got easier and I can do more now, or I've got a little time back in my life, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a really awesome question, and I think there's parts of it that I'm still learning. Of course, I think even when you're 30 years in, you're still learning, but I think in the beginning, you're chasing the transactions, you're chasing that adrenaline of getting more, more, more. But when you take a step back and you just start helping your clients and focusing on each client individually and putting the effort there and building the rapport. I mean, in 3 years, I've built 90% of my business is referral at this point, and that's because I've built great relationships with clients, with agents, obviously in the tri-state, Arizona, California, Nevada, and they see how I treat everyone, how I operate my business, and I think that alone, shifting that, has created a huge turning point in my business. Another thing is there's always ways we can create more time. I mean, everyone likes to use the word balance. I tell them there's no such thing. It's true though, there is
No.
a such thing, but when you're early in your career and you really want to make things happen and help a lot of people, I do think that there's sacrifice in that. And so, of course, I'm getting busier and busier and eventually need to hire on probably another assistant. It's hard for me to do that, believe it or not. So, that is an area where I probably definitely still need progress in, is letting go a little bit because I try to control the whole thing and need to learn where there can be some delegation involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I heard a saying one time. There's no work life balance. There are work life choices,
Yeah.
and kind of a misnomer is, hey, look, you can't be 100% all in with everything, but you know what? You can be 100% all in with everything. You can be 100% with work. You can be 100% with your off time as well. Will they blend and cross over? They absolutely will. But it doesn't mean you can't be present in that very moment with what it is that you want to accomplish, and therefore you can accomplish more in your personal and your professional time, which you're kind of leaning into a little bit as well. So,
Yeah.
but that's great. Your sphere of influence is everything, and you're learning that as you're building it so quickly, and you're seeing the return already as well. Which, I mean, that's the number one indicator that says you're doing a lot of things right. Because a lot of folks, even veterans in this industry, don't have 90% of their business isn't coming from their sphere yet because maybe in the early days they weren't doing everything as well as they could, or maybe they weren't working. I don't want to say they weren't working as hard, but maybe they were just making more mistakes along the way. Part of falling in that quicksand, having your mom in real estate, your dad in real estate, both with our company too, I'm sure that has really helped along the way, just from a mentorship standpoint. And I know how proud they are. You can see them beam every time that we mention your name or I talk with them as well. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's
So tell me this. You're building an amazing business. So much of it is sphere based already, barely 4 years in the business. What are two non negotiable tips that you would give to your fellow colleagues of how to win in real estate long term? And I know you're still building that long term, but there's got to be a couple things you're doing today. You're like, these two things I will always do because they're working so well for me right now. I can't not do them to grow my business.
yeah. I think that the two that I would probably put on the rankings are one, being consistent. I think consistency creates success, and I think the more you are just consistent and you do the work, the
Mhm.
over time the higher the success rate will be. Um Number 2, I think that it's putting the relationships before the transaction. Like I mentioned just before, if you continue to put your relationships with your clients first and their needs, and you focus on making them happy and completing the transaction, but looking out for them, i think I think that goes much farther than most other things, and then keeping in touch with them, but that again goes into building the relationship and keeping and maintaining the rapport.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny you say that. Consistency is the foundation to everything we do. If you're consistently following up with your pipeline, if you're consistently keeping in tight communication with your clients, if you're consistently marketing the home, if you're consistently marketing yourself,
Yeah,
doing all of those things, I mean, consistency really is your foundation, and then just growing from there. I mean, it's these are two amazing points that you just made, and they're probably the most common points that come out of these conversations. So if I'm hearing something over and over and over and over again, I better be doing it because it's working for a lot of people. um, and here's the other piece: not the sexiest things to do either, but
yeah,
it works. It
yeah,
works. The old saying, work works.
yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. So, well, a couple of things. Kennedy, how do people get a hold of you? If they want to reach out to you, maybe they have a referral they want to send to Las Vegas, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Please tell them how to contact you and where to reach you. Of
Yeah, I mean, because of my generation, I'm my phone is always there. I answer every call
course.
from every agent. If not, you're getting a call back within 20 minutes. So cell phone's always great. I can. Do you want me to state my phone number?
Yeah,
What's
give your number out.
okay?
Absolutely.
It's 702-419-1952. My Instagram is Kennedy Sells LV. And then obviously via email also always works. Kennedy.Weinberg at bhhsnv.com.
Perfect. Kendi, thank you so much for truly showing up today, coming from a place of abundance and sharing with others what's working for you, and really being such an incredible example of what our company is. And I'll even say the next generation of our organization coming up with true hard workers that work with integrity. They have stability in their life and they just want to do the right thing and serve others in the best way they can. You're a great example of that. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you do
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to continuing to watch your journey. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.